Hello and welcome everybody to today's edition of Breaking News Business here at Mexico News Network. I'm your host, Elliot Bullman. Remember to follow us on all our social networks and to catch us every day by logging on to our website, mexiconewsnetwork.com, for relevant stories and news. Let's start with today's show. The International Monetary Fund has increased its growth forecast for Mexico in 2016 to 2.5%, in contrast to the 2.4% they recently announced in April this year. Given the continued recovery in the United States, the growth outlook for Mexico remains strong. It grew slightly from 2.4% to 2.5%, but because of Brexit, the worldwide perspective was reduced for this year and next year. As a direct result of the United Kingdom announcing its intention to leave the European Union, the IMF reduced its world growth expectation by 0.1 percentage points for 2016 to 3.1%, and for 2017 to 3.4%. They're optimistic about the uncertainty around the situation, and it's expected for it to be reduced gradually. In a statement released in May of this year, Mr. David Lipton, First Deputy Managing Director and Acting Chair of the IMF, said, "The Mexican economy has shown impressive resilience to a slowdown in world growth in recent years. Economic activity is growing at a steady pace, inflation is low and stable, and the financial system is sound. Nevertheless, Mexico's economy remains exposed to external risks given its close ties with the global economy. The economic effect produced by Brexit will be much more visible in countries with fully developed economies, and the impact will be less in emerging countries. For 2017, the IMF did not change its forecast for Mexico, leaving it at 2.6%. In the case of the United States, their growth forecast was reduced by 2 percentage points during 2016, leaving it at 2.2%, with moderate effects from Brexit. In other headlines, Ukrainian businessmen are looking into importing meat and avocados from Jalisco due to their high quality level and their competitive prices. During his visit to Guadalajara, the Ukrainian ambassador to Mexico, Ruslan Spirin, explained the great potential market his country offers to Mexico, which is around 45 million inhabitants. He says the quality of the meat in Jalisco is perfect and that the avocado is considered a fruit with many properties and health benefits. The oil itself is of particular interest to them. They're still deciding if the fruit is going to be imported fresh or as a derivative product from it due to the long distances. Currently, both countries are in negotiations with businessmen from the agricultural sector and with the state government for formal agreements. Currently, Mexico's main exports to Ukraine include motorboats, three-wheel motorcycles, electrical circuits, instant coffee, tequila, and beer. Ukraine also has very interesting environmental plans for Mexico, and talks are underway with the mayor of Jalisco, Enrique Alfaro, about the possibility of installing a garbage recycling plant in Guadalajara. There's still no date set yet, but they're very interested in the project. It would start out as a pilot test with the capacity of recycling 5 tons daily, including car tires, plastics and polyethylene, with the aim of recycling 50 tons daily. This plant would be completely ecological, using biodegradable products, and as a result of the recycling, it would produce diesel. The Ukrainian ambassador highlighted that Jalisco is also a candidate for the aerospace company Antonov to install a plant and service shop in Mexico that would give maintenance to almost 200 heavy cargo planes that circulate Latin America. It's the start of a diplomatic bond where it's intended to promote together with Ukrainian authorities the leadership that Jalisco maintains in technology, agriculture and economic development. Moving on. Exercising our right to vote, no matter what our beliefs or posture may be, is a right that Mexican citizens have, and they can make it happen even if they're not physically in the country, either temporarily or indefinitely. The future of Mexico depends on the actions of its people as responsible and conscious citizens. Voting gives Mexicans power. In the case of the United States, currently 34.6 million Mexican people live there, according to data issued by INE. From this figure, 22.4 million people are eligible to vote, and from those, 11.7 million of these Mexicans were born in the States and are eligible to vote in both countries if they register in the electoral census. The Mexican electoral census consists of 81 million Mexicans with their credential, even though there's no exact data that tells us how many of those 22.4 million Mexican people that live in the States have a voting credential. But if all of those people exercise their right to vote, those would all count as potential votes towards change. During the 2012 elections, only 60% of the Mexican people registered to vote in the United States voted. Nevertheless, 71% of the votes for Obama were Hispanic. This goes to show the importance of participating, how meaningful every vote is, and the magnitude of the Hispanic community vote. The results are clear in the elections. The power is in our hands, especially this November when the next US president will be decided. It's been seen over the years that once Mexican people go to the States, they become detached from their native country's politics and rights as Mexicans, even if they have family back home or ever plan on returning. They become more interested in their new country's elections and politics, which is also important, but they shouldn't lose track of their own nation's political affairs. With that being said, there still are many Mexican people who remain interested in their country's elections. The Mexican organizations in the States have fought for years to make their political rights exercised in Mexico. And finally, in economics. The Mexican peso increased 0.04% to 18.84 from 18.83 in the previous trading session. The peso changed up by 1.45% during the last week, up 0.01% during the last month, and up 15.61% during the last year. Mexico's IPC index decreased 0.25% to 46,811 from 46,927 in the previous trading session. Mexico's IPC index changed down by 1.17% during the last week, was up 4.69% during the last month, and up 5.26% during the last year. This was all for today. Thank you for staying with us. I'm your host, Elliot Bullman. And remember to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+. Log on to MexicoNewsNetwork.com for more information on Mexico and the world. Until next time.